like to present to you the leader. 1994, he said jobs. We brought it all the way, said cost of living. Ladies and gentlemen, the man of the moment, our next Prime Minister, Owen Arthur.
What's torment and misery? So where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Owen, come in, get ready. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? For Barbados Labour Party. Where you at? Look, where you at? Yeah, where you at?
A very good evening to one and all. I've come here tonight to endorse the candidature of Ian Gooding, who I fully expect will be joining me in the House of Assembly to constitute part of the next government of Barbados. This constituency is the constituency that we came closest to winning in the last election. And I'm begging you tonight not to give me any flutters of my heart on the 21st of February. This time, seal the deal. And let me have Ian Edgell. Really, a fine young man. I am so conscious of the responsibility that falls upon me to constitute a new generation of Labour Party people. And the people that we are bringing to public life are not political neophytes like those of the Democratic Labour Party. We are bringing people with a proven record of service. And in Gooding, before he has come to politics, has served as the president of the Barbados Employers Confederation. And he knows about creating jobs. And this is the kind of representative that you want in this constituency. Tonight I also want to thank the former Member of Parliament for this constituency. And I do that deliberately. The former representative of this constituency served for 3 terms as a loyal member of the Barbados Labour Party. Madam, I'm not going there with you. Not going there with you. I am not, from these platforms, going to entertain any form of abuse, especially abuse from myself. But Robert Marshall served for 3 terms as a member of Parliament in this constituency. And time again, I came to this constituency and told you that he was a good representative, one of the better representatives in Barbados, and that he was a model as to how people should conduct themselves as a person serving constituents. I was not lying then. I see no reason tonight why I should say anything else about Robert Marshall. And tonight I want, despite whatever he is doing now, I want to thank him for having served the Barbados Labour Party and having served this constituency for 3 terms. This is one of the strangest elections in the history of Barbados. There are many, many important burning issues concerning the welfare of the people of Barbados that this election should be focused about. The people of this country are hurting more than they have ever heard. Barbados' name in the world has been diminished. In the Caribbean, we are now regarded as a laughing stock. This was a country that used to have high goals. We spoke once about full employment, eradicating poverty, winning the fight against HIV/AIDS. Barbados used to be a country that worked. Unemployment reduced to 6.7%. Barbados used to be a country that cares. We look after the poor, the disabled. And Barbados used to be a country that stood for something in the eyes of the people of the world. But our country has been diminished. Barbados has been devalued by the Democratic Labour Party. And this campaign is a crusade by the Barbados Labour Party to tell you how we intend to rescue our country from this most dismal situation and make our country once again, as it must always be, appear to be like a shining city on a hill. But rather than engage, the Democratic Labour Party has brought to this campaign the politics of diversion and the politics of fear. And what I mean by diversion in warfare, if you want to win a battle, if you're coming from the east, you make the man feel that you're coming from the west. And you make reality appear to be other than it is. And when you've heard me say this statement here over and over again, but when I was working in Jamaica, I worked in the bauxite industry. And every week, a man at a bauxite plant would walk away with a pancart full of sand. And every week, they would search the pancart to see if he had any pliers or screwdrivers in the pancart. And at the end of the year, 52 pancarts were missing. They were looking for the wrong thing. And the Democratic Labour Party in this campaign wants you to look for the wrong thing. And that rather than deal with their record of unemployment, because we left unemployment in this country at 6.7%, it reached as high as 12. 16,000 of your brothers and sisters in the private sector have lost their jobs. Rather than deal with their record, they want to deal with the politics of diversion, to make you feel that we don't care and that we have a secret plan to send home 10,000 people. And I must let you know that Mr. Wood, Tyrone Barker, and Maskell and I have brought a case against Mr. Sinclair for saying that we held secret meetings at University of West Cities as professional economists to send home 10,000 people. It's a lie. And it's a lie that reflects seriously on our professions. But that's not the point. They want to deal with the politics of fear. And to make you feel that we have some secret plan to send home people, especially from the Transport Board. And they want to deal with the Transport Board issue particularly, because this, you from the Transport Board, Skipper? God bless her, and thanks for coming tonight, because you can hear the truth. Because this constituency has been represented, as you know, by Robert Marshall, who was the Minister of Transport, by Vic Johnson, who was the Minister of Transport. Bess Hall was also Minister of Transport too. And I suspect that there might be more people employed at the Transport Board in this constituency than in any other constituency. So the Democratic Labour Party has put it out that we have some secret plan to send home people, and you ought to be afraid of the future of a Barbados Labour Party government. And it all comes down to that we have a secret plan to want to send home people from the Transport Board. And I want to deal first with that issue tonight. This history about privatizing the Transport Board is a matter of which the Democratic Labour Party is guilty, as I will prove to you tonight, and on which we can prove not only innocence, but that we have fought and fought and fought to protect the workers of the Transport Board. On the 10th of November 1992, David Thompson made a statement in his capacity as Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs on privatization. Now, you would believe that we are the people who invent the word privatization. But Thompson spoke in Parliament on the 10th of November, 1992. And he said as such. Got to put on the glasses because he sent it, he wrote it in fine print. He didn't want us to read it properly. He said that certain enterprises had already been privatized by the Transport Board, so it started with them. The Barbados External Telecommunication Limited, the Barbados Telephone Company Limited, the Barbados Mills Limited, Barbados Feeds Limited, and Super Poultry Farms. He said they had been privatized. He says these are the state enterprises approved for privatization in the process of being privatized. Now listen carefully. Enterprises approved for privatization and in the process of being privatized, our cement plant, that was privatized, Barbados National Oil Company, Haywards Holiday Village, that was privatized, and the Barbados Transport Board. So David Thompson, on the 10th of November 1992, stated in Parliament that the Democratic Labour Party were in the process of preparing the Transport Board to sell it. I became Minister of Finance and Prime Minister in 1994. And he said, not under my watch. I said that the Transport Board have problems, but rather than sell it and send home people, let us fix the problem. A part of the problem the Transport Board has identified with us was that the workshop was losing too much money. And I called Leroy Trotman, and I said, Leroy Trotman, I'm not prepared to send home hardworking Barbadian people. I am prepared to agree that we start changing the Transport Board and that you and the workers take the workshop. The government is going to give you $2 million to have you to form a company. Form a company called UCAL. And we are going to buy back services from UCAL. So rather than privatize the Transport Board, we both restructured it in a way that allowed people to start owning a company that they were selling the service Transport Board to. And on the 25th of April, 1998, a function was organized at which I presented the shares to the workers who were owning the former workshop of the Transport Board, then called UCAL. And I spoke to history in these terms. I spoke then as I feel now. I said, my government feels that any restructuring of the Transport Board should be guided by positive considerations. It is entirely to our credit that we have managed to distinguish ourselves among developing countries in being able to provide a virtually island-wide public transportation system at a modest subsidy. My government is therefore satisfied that we should resist any pressure to fully privatize the transportation service. You hear what I said? We will resist any pressure to privatize it. And we are committed to supporting the service with a reasonable subsidy as our fiscal resources allow. So in 1998, I said, no privatization of the Transport Board. Barbados must have an island-wide transportation system so that poor people can know how they can get to work, and that we are going to provide it with a reasonable subsidy. I suspect that UCAL, in which the government put $2 million, might be the only company in which Leroy Trotman is the chairman. But it's a company owned by the workers. Now, between 1998 and 2008, I had 10 years to prove whether I was a man of my word. And it did not sell the transport board. Every year, we gave it a subsidy. But Chris Sinclair and the Democratic Labour Party, I said, are practicing in this election something called the politics of diversion and the politics of fear. They are coming from the east but want you to feel that they're coming from the west. And the only body who has recently said that they're preparing the transport board for privatization and that the transport board will be sold is Chris Sinclair. And let me read what it is that the man said on the floor of Parliament. He says, I have engaged discussion with the president of the Inter-American Development Bank, and he has agreed to work with us and to instruct his officials that the process of structural reform in the non-financial public sector, the statutory boards as we call them, and commissions, will begin in Barbados, and that the IDB, listen carefully, is going to provide resources, technical and otherwise, for us to begin a full analysis of statutory boards in Barbados. To look, he says, at how we can improve their operations, bring efficiencies to them, to those which may have, I hear Chris Sinclair on the floor of Parliament, to bring efficiencies to them which will have to face some form of privatization. And Mr. Speaker, we are starting with the first three: the National Housing Corporation, the Transport Board, and the Sanitation Service Authority. So, while Chris Sinclair has been out here telling you all that we have this secret plan to sell the Transport Board and to send home the workers from the Transport Board, which is a lie, he has been carrying on, as he said on the floor of Parliament, discussions with the Inter-American Development Bank and asking the Inter-American Development Bank for money to, he says, restructure them to prepare them to be sold. And what are the three? The National Housing Corporation, the Sanitation Service Authority that picks up garbage that is now to be put in the hands of private people if the Democratic Labour Party is returned to power, and the Transport Board. Now, when I tell you about the politics of diversion and the politics of fear, this is wickedness, wickedness, wickedness to the heights that never before in the history of this country has a man had a more evil intention to unfair people in his heart and has sought to put that evil intention on somebody else. And I worry about him. No, I am, because there are people. But I got to talk about it because other people don't know, sir. You know, but I got to talk about it, son. So, but give me a chance, and I got to speak 3 other places, sir. So, at some time, the truth has to be told. And I have to ask Chris Sinclair tonight, as all of you should ask the man, how far have those discussions, not with an official of the bank, but with the president of the Inter-American Development Bank. How far did those discussions go? And is it not true that a Labour Party government will assume office with a plan already in place to sell the transport board organized by Chris Sinclair? And not only that, today I received, and I'm speaking about this in these terms, today I received calls from people at the port. And people in Barbados seem not to be aware that in his budget speech, Chris Sinclair said that he was also going to sell our airport and our seaport. But it's a fact. Go to Chris Sinclair's budget speech in last year, 2012, and there is a commitment to start selling the airport and the seaport. And I say that it is a wicked, wicked, wicked thing for the Barbados Labour Party to have to go through this election, having to defend itself against the most wicked charge that has ever been invented in the history of Barbados politics. And the Dems have to come clean. Tonight I also want to talk a little bit about a statement made by Frandl Stewart. And I don't want to misquote him, but he's effectively saying yesterday that the only thing that we have is, and using his words, is a vision, he says, is a put. He says when a party only vision is to put little money in your pocket, something wrong with our party. Now, first of all, Frandl Stewart has a lot of disabilities. He is a man who, by his own admission, suffers from the dropsy because he's sound asleep. And he had to be woken up recently. He is a man who is a blowhard, as you know. He threatened that heads will roll, but not even a hair on a head has been affected. He's the man who has strange habits. If anybody was to ask me what it is I get most of my pleasure from, I will tell them that this is a country in which there are young people, and I am not supposed to say things in public that people might find bad for the ears of young people, and that I might have to say that I like to read, yes, but I might have a weakness for sweetness. And I stand accused. But when you ask a man like Frandl Stewart, and what is his greatest pleasures in his life, the man says he likes to wash his underwears with his hand. So he has to be a strange man. He really. Because there's nobody else out here in this crowd, and none of you is a prime minister, who would say that you get your greatest pleasure from washing your underwears with your hand. So that is now the qualification to be a Democrat Labour Party prime minister. You have to be able to enjoy washing your underwears. And I don't know what color his is. I hear they're brown and white, but he washes underwears with his hands. But that's not the point. In this campaign, we are telling the people of Barbados that the real problem in this country is not just about the economy. It is about the society. Our society is unraveling. Barbadians are becoming poorer. The level of poverty in this country now is 1 in 5. 20% of our people now are living below the poverty line. Barbados is a country that appears no longer to care. And we want to make this country a caring society again. We want to make this country again a society where stopping poor people from being poor becomes a goal of the government. When last have you heard a government in Barbados say that? We want to make Barbados a country that stands for something in and of itself and stands for something in the rest of the world. We want to make this country a more just society. A society in which it is going to be housing. It can't be given to one company, but all of our contractors must get a share. That's the kind of society. We want a country that can be a society of opportunity. And a society of aspiration where people, the children of poor people, can aspire to be like me. To be, no matter where you come from, that you can become a prime minister of this country. That is the kind of society we want. But that we have to talk about the economy and putting money in people's pockets. Because unless you fix this economy, that is so bad, all of the social and other goals that you're seeking to achieve will not be achieved. Our economy has now become the worst performing economy in the Caribbean. And that there are countries that were like us that are now pressing ahead while we are falling behind, we are being left behind, and there's a danger that we are going to go under. And we will continue, even if it displeases Frandel Stewart, to say that part of the solution to our economic problems has to be to empower Barbadians to help bring back this economy. That is what putting money in people's pockets is about. That we can't believe that it must be left to the rest of the world to lift their recession for us to succeed. It can't be that. Other countries in the rest of the world are not waiting for the rest of the world to fix their problems to go ahead. I told you in Bay Street what is happening in Guyana, what is happening in Mauritius, what is happening in Costa Rica, what is happening in Botswana. Those are small countries facing the same situation, but they're pressing ahead. And tonight I'm calling upon Frandel Stewart to understand one thing. The tail cannot wag the dog. We are an economy where 24% of our economy depends upon exports. But 76% of our economy depend upon your local spending. Agriculture depends upon it. Yams and potatoes, houses depend upon local spending. And there's no conceivable strategy by which this economy can be put back on a path of growth by our only dealing with the 24%, namely tourism and international business, and ignore the rest, the 76% that is there to help carry forward. That makes sense to you? That 100% of the economy must be restored. 76% depends upon you having money in your pockets. 24% depends upon foreigners having money in their pockets and coming here. And all we are saying is that this economy must be brought back by allowing Barbadians to be able to help bring it back. And that is offending the Democratic Labour Party, because the strategy of the Democratic Labour Party has been to believe that by pauperizing you, they can bring about prosperity in this country. There is Frandel Stewart. There is no country in the world that has ever attained prosperity by the pauperization of its people. And the record of the Democratic Labour Party over the course of the last 5 years has not been to empower you to help build this country, but it has been to take everything, suck everything out of your pockets to stop you from not only helping the country, but helping yourself and helping your family. And as I speak to you, my people are hurting, Frandel. They're Barbadians who are struggling to pay like bills. That is not the country that we must live in. There are people who, as I said, are struggling to pay their water rates. And every week they're juggling this bill and that bill. We have reached the deplorable situation in this country Because I hear it in my constituency, where families are having a difficulty some weeks putting a decent meal on the table on Sundays. And we're saying to the government that we left $2.8 billion in foreign exchange reserves. They would have recently grown because they have. And they want Barbados to know that one of the greatest gifts of the Barbados Labour Party to this country was that in 1991, Barbados had minus $2 million in reserves. You know what that meant? That the amount of foreign exchange that we had to pay back was $2 million more than the foreign exchange we had at the central bank. And when we became the government, we found $300 million in foreign exchange reserves. And we left $2.8 billion in the central bank and in the banks. Now, we put Barbados beyond any circumstance where the shortage of foreign exchange should hold us back. And this government now has $500 million more in foreign exchange than it needs to hold for purposes of safety. And when we increase our foreign exchange earnings, you know what we are doing? We are taking the foreign exchange that is earned by the maids and others in the hotel industry, and we are investing them in the paper issued by the government of the United States of America. So increasing your foreign exchange reserves is a good thing, but it means that you are helping another country to solve their problems. So as we increase our reserves and put our money in United States government treasury bills, we are helping Obama to run America. And all we are saying to this government is that the time has come not just to help Obama run the states, but to help Barbados run Barbados. And if you give back the little allowances to people, that will cost $24 million. We got over $500 million more than you need in reserves. And what would be wrong in giving back those little allowances and giving back little tax relief? We did it for 14 years. So, Frandel, go back to washing your underwears and washing your socks. You don't know what you are talking about. And I beg you do. You have had your first term. You have had your second term, because the second term was between the 15th of January and the 25th of February, the first government of Barbados that ever went over 5 years, so you got the second term already. And give us back this good land to run. And I've come tonight to you in this constituency to tell you that you have a fine young man who could add significantly to the future government of Barbados. And the last election, he left us 20 votes short of winning this seat. I'm asking you in this time around, please seal the deal. Good night, and God bless each and every one of you.
Owen will see to it that money in we pocket. So